Good morning and welcome to the Human Relations Lesson 1 webinar. My name is Mara Meter. I'm a teacher's assistant at Penn Foster High School, and I'll just kind of be taking you through a review of the main points and concepts in Lesson 1 to help you to refresh what you've read and also to help you to do a good job on your exam. We will be moving through a kind of a quicker pace, but if you do have questions about the content as we're going through, please feel welcome to type in your questions and I'll do my best to answer them in the order that I receive them at the end of the webinar today. We have a lot to cover, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Why, you might be asking yourself, why do I need this course? It's actually a really good course. It helps students from 16 to 66 because all of us can relate to each other in the fact that we're all human. We all have relationships with other humans, whether it's as a student or in an employee atmosphere. You may have work experience or you may not have work experience, but in either case, you can definitely apply what you learn in this lesson to help you to improve your relationships with other people in any setting in your life. When relations, when good human relations is practiced, people feel good about themselves. They work better together, they accomplish more in their personal lives and in their jobs. So that's what we're hoping to help you accomplish in this lesson. We're going to be going over all of the sections of lesson 1. I'll take a brief pause between each lesson and then we'll just continue on. Like I said, we do have a lot to cover. You will receive a recording of this webinar today as well. So if there's anything you want to go over again at a later time, you certainly can do that in your recording that you receive by email. Okay, lesson 1.1 is defining human relations. Human relations is when people come in contact with one another or on a personal or professional level. So anytime people come together, human relations is at work. Human relations has an impact on almost every aspect of our lives. How does it relate to me? Well, think of a time when you were involved in a challenging situation with someone. Was it a family member, perhaps? Was it another student in your school? Or maybe it was a coworker at your job. In any case, any of those situations that you found challenging will be examples of human relations. And today what we're going to do is we're going to observe how we handled those problems. So you could think about what you may have done in the past to handle situations with other people. And we're going to look at ways that we can improve upon what we already know. So we'll challenge you to look at the way you relate to others and provide some insight for improving relationships and becoming a better problem solver. Your lesson refers to the concept of reinforcement. Reinforcement is simply a reward that follows something that you do. Reinforcement is present in many aspects of our lives. Children in kindergarten get stickers when they make good choices at school. That's the sticker is the positive reinforcement for making a good choice. Dog trainers use reinforcement when training dogs. They get a treat when they respond correctly to a command. So the treat is the reinforcement to the dog. Here's some other examples that are listed in your text. If you buy a winning lottery ticket, you're likely to buy another one. Whereas if you buy a lottery ticket and you don't win, maybe you're not likely to buy another one. So winning is the reward or the reinforcement for buying the lottery ticket that will cause you to maybe want to purchase more lottery tickets in the future. Getting an A on a test is reinforcement for studying hard. So it's the reward for the hard work that you put in. Feeling good inside is a reinforcement that is not as it's not as easy to see, it's not as tangible, but it's that feeling that you get maybe when you do something nice for someone or you help out somebody who's in a jam. So that good feeling that you get from helping somebody out would be the reward for that action and encourage you to want to help other people out in the future. Now let's apply it to our own lives. And when we are able to apply concepts to ourselves, it helps us to understand it better and it'll help you to remember it better. So think of an example when you felt rewarded for something that you did. Let's create an example of reinforcement for each of the following categories: school, work, and extracurricular activities. So think of some times where you felt reinforced at school, at work, or outside of school or work. Okay, now let's apply your ideas to some of the examples here. You may have said that earning a good score on an exam is a good way to feel reinforcement at school. Or when a teacher gives you encouraging remarks, they recognize your hard work, that would be reinforcement for continuing to work hard at school. At work, you may have said something like, if your boss recognizes that you did a good job, that's reinforcement for doing a good job at work. Or getting a raise in pay, that's definitely a tangible reinforcement because getting a raise in pay can help you to improve your life. And it's definitely good incentive to continue to do a good job at work. Outside of school or work, maybe you're a young student playing sports. So it could be the proud feeling that you get after winning a tough game. And that proud feeling is the reinforcement to continue to practice and work hard and win more games. And the good feeling that you get from helping someone in need. So outside of school or work, maybe you volunteer or you're involved with your church. So volunteering your time to help people who need help can definitely be reinforced by that good feeling that you get from just doing the right thing. Risk-taking. Sometimes our fears get in the way of creating better relationships with others. Some of those fears are discomfort, talking to new people, fear of rejection, fear of the opinions of others, fear of embarrassment. Maybe a person is just a naturally shy person. It's hard for them to relate to other people they don't know right away, or a lack of confidence. So these are really common things that many, many people experience that might block what could be a positive change or a positive relationship with somebody else in our lives. So let's talk about some ways that we can overcome some of these fears so that we can have a more fulfilling, positive, more stress-free life. Let's look at Fran. Okay, we're going to talk about how to overcome our fears by practicing positive self-talk. So this is Fran. Fran had a job interview and she had to make a presentation before a group of people, but she was terribly afraid of speaking in public. But she really, really wanted the job. So I think that many of us can identify with Fran in a lot of ways, or we might have been in a situation that was similar. You really, really want to do something, but you're afraid to go for it. So let's examine some examples of positive self-talk versus some examples of negative self-talk to determine how Fran can help herself to overcome her fear. So an example of negative self-talk would be, I'm not sure I can handle this. I better just quit now, right? How many times has that gone through your head at some point? I know that I've definitely felt that way at some point. Another example is, I'll say something so stupid and everyone will laugh at me. I'll do a poor job and I won't get hired. So these are some thoughts, these are some negative thoughts that might go through a person's mind in a situation like Fran's. We can take that negative talk and turn it into positive talk. So instead of thinking, I'm not sure I can handle this, she can think, several things can happen in this situation. It might be good, it might not be good, but quitting won't get me anywhere. If I don't try, then there's no way I'm going to have any chance. So I might as well give it my best try. Or she can think, instead of I'll say something stupid and everyone will laugh at me, she can say, I'll speak clearly, I'll make sense, and I'll get the job. So you can see here this transition between the negative and the positive, where it's actually important to hear the negative so that we can turn it into positives. And that's what Fran is going to do. So think about a time when you might have felt nervous. Apply Fran's situation to yourself. A time when you might have had some negative self-talk going on. Maybe it was talking to someone for the first time, speaking in public, going to a job interview. And in these situations, what we should do is think of the worst things that can happen in the situation, which we're probably going to do anyway, because that's just human nature, right? And then we need to say them out loud, or write them down, or talk to somebody about them, a friend or a family member, because it's important you actually hear the negative self-talk so that you can turn it into positive thinking and positive self-talk. Believe in yourself and you will achieve. Imagine how many great things would never have been achieved if nobody ever took a risk. Identify what's holding you back and think of something positive that can come from going for it. So those are the main ideas covered in section 1 of lesson 1. So I don't see any questions have been typed in yet, so we're just going to go ahead and move forward to lesson 1.2, recognizing good human relationships. So there are 3 key factors in building positive relationships that are covered in your lesson. They are self-confidence, consideration, and communication. Let's examine each of those a little more deeply. What is self-confidence? Self-confidence is the belief in yourself and your ability to succeed, to take the risks necessary to build new relationships. You must have self-confidence. Some examples you might have felt are, do you sometimes feel self-conscious or uncomfortable in initiating friendly conversation with someone you don't know well? Maybe in order to help with that, you can start with something simple and pleasant, like how was your day? Or nice weather we're having. People actually like to be asked about themselves. And I think a lot of students would be surprised to find out that they actually, if this is a problem they have with initiating conversation with a stranger, that you don't really have to say much to get somebody else to do a lot of talking. So, and then, if you are a person who feels less confident, then you can just do more listening and you're still participating in a good, friendly conversation. And the more you practice it, the easier it will become and the more comfortable you will feel. Consideration. Merriam-Webster identifies consideration as thoughtful and sympathetic regard towards others. For example, lending a hand when you can. Opening a door for someone whose hands are full is considerate. Notice the nice things about people. Hey, you look great today. Or you did a terrific job. That you might be thinking it in your head and not saying it out loud, but you never know when somebody might be having a rough day and they might need to hear that. Meet other people's needs before your own. So, for example, during a meeting at work, you might openly recognize the accomplishments of others or someone else. And that shows that you're being thoughtful and you have regard for the work of other people. And it really just makes other people feel good, which leads to good relationships. Communication. Communication is somewhere where I think a lot of us can really examine the way that we communicate with other people and how we can improve upon that communication. How are we getting our ideas across to others? How are we making other people feel? How do they feel about what we're saying? So some ideas are when someone's talking to you, try to think about what they're saying instead of focusing so much on how you will respond. Be a good listener. When you're in a conversation, don't interrupt the speaker. And if you're not clear about what a person has said, try repeating their words without being critical. It shows that you really are trying to understand what they're saying and also that you care about what they're saying and you're paying attention. When you practice all of these skills, good human relations can be achieved. And how will that affect you? Well, it'll affect you in just about every part of your life, your personal life, your studies, and your career. You'll be open to new things in your personal life. Your attitude will be positive. You'll find it easier to make friends, and you'll find your self-confidence will grow. In your studies, you'll develop an I can attitude that'll help you master even the hardest subjects. And in your career, you'll enjoy work more. You'll get along better with others at work and your supervisors. You'll be better at your job, and you'll find those problems at work easier to manage and less likely to affect your personal life. Attitudes and learning. This lesson talks about attitudes. So what is an attitude? An attitude is a set of beliefs that a person holds. These beliefs can be obvious or they can be hidden. An example of an obvious attitude is an attitude like, I don't like Chinese food. If you don't like Chinese food, you're not going to order Chinese food. You're not going to eat Chinese food out at lunch with your friends. That's obvious. You might also have a hidden positive attitude or negative attitude towards someone. For example, a hidden positive attitude towards someone, towards a woman maybe that you work with, because she wears the same perfume as a wonderful second grade teacher you had. And that smell just associates in your mind goodness or kindness or a person who is trustworthy and dependable. So that's something that would be a hidden attitude that the person who has that attitude might not even realize they have. So that's an interesting one to think about. Attitudes play a critical role, though, in our lives and what we do and also in what we learn. So this is another reason why this course is good, because it might help certain students to identify with some of the negative attitudes they might have that are holding them back in their learning. If you have a positive attitude towards life in general, that will help you learn. But if you have, things that are causing in your life that cause you to feel negative, that's going to kind of build a little bit of a roadblock for you. Having a positive attitude towards learning itself is the best way to boost the learning process. And when your attitude is positive about learning, you think, I can learn and I can enjoy learning. I know a great deal already, and I am capable of learning a great deal more. And learning will improve my life in many ways. So all of these things are true of everyone. But having a positive attitude definitely makes it easier for a student to believe these things are true and to live them so that they can not only be successful in their studies but enjoy them. Attitudes are expressed in a variety of ways. We can express our attitudes through our written language, through our spoken language, and nonverbally. When we're expressing attitudes in written language, for example, if we're writing a letter or an email, especially in a business atmosphere, we want to think about the content of the letter in two ways. What kind of feeling does the letter show, and what do the words say? There might be a hidden attitude sneaking through in there, especially if you're writing something that you don't feel particularly happy about. But we still want to be respectful and we still want to be professional. So remember, attitudes aren't always obvious. Sometimes having someone else read the email, a friend or someone that you trust, or just reading it out loud and thinking, am I getting across the message that I want to get across? Attitudes are also expressed through spoken language. In spoken language, attitudes can be identified through our tone or the inflection of our voice. You may have heard of the smiling voice, where if you're listening to someone that you can't see, the tone of their voice can actually indicate the look on their face, whether they're smiling or not. Another part of our spoken language that might express an attitude is our volume. The loudness of our speech conveys a great deal. So you want to just make sure that your volume matches the situation and the message you want to get across. The pace is the rate at which we speak. This conveys a level of a level of comfort with the situation or conversation. Word choice, obviously, attitudes can be detected through word choice. So we want to make sure that we choose our words carefully to get across the ideas and the message that we want to get across. And taking turns is important. If we don't listen to what the other person is saying and we interrupt someone, it might convey a subtle message that what we have to say is more important than what they have to say. And lastly, expressing attitudes can be done non-verbally through body language. Some examples of our body language include our posture, the way we sit, the distance that we choose to keep between ourselves and someone else, our movements, our facial expressions, the way that we dress, the way that we groom ourselves. All of these things will convey our attitude towards our job, towards life in general, to other people that we know. So just be sure that your body's communicating what's in your mind. This will keep attitudes or emotions from interfering with the message that you're trying to get across. And also, it'll help you to be aware of other people's body language so that it can help you to understand what hidden attitudes another person might have. It's really important to have a positive attitude. It makes a big difference in your life. It sets a tone for your life. It helps you enjoy high points more and handle low points better. Also, if you have a positive attitude, you will affect the attitudes of others and they'll become more positive themselves. It also leads to better health and better career benefits. In a work setting, having a positive attitude helps you get along better with other people, helps you build good relationships with your supervisor and your team. And if you're the supervisor, you'll find that you can motivate people better and they'll accomplish more if the supervisor has a positive attitude. You'll accomplish more yourself and you'll enjoy your work more. When challenges occur, you'll be more likely to meet them successfully. So try and look at the bright side when things happen that cause others around you to be negative. This can be hard because just like a positive attitude can be contagious, so can a negative attitude. So we really need to try to look on the bright side, see the forest in spite of the trees, and be that positive energy in the group. Remember, positive energy is also contagious. So if someone is showing it, other people will want to follow as well. Some of the good health practices that we have can help us to maintain our positive attitude. Make sure we're getting enough sleep. You know, any person who's not getting enough sleep, it's going to affect our attitude. It's going to make us feel grouchy. So we need to make sure we're taking care of ourselves, which includes getting enough sleep, eating well, and exercising regularly. It just makes you feel generally better, which also attributes to maintaining that good positive attitude. Some things we should stay away from are abusive substances like alcohol, tobacco, and drugs, things that poison our bodies and our minds and can affect the way that we feel and therefore affect our attitudes. It's important to associate with others and having that feeling that we've done the right thing to energize us. So volunteering is a great thing for maintaining a positive attitude and making you feel good about yourself and your life. And participating maybe in church-related activities or just spending time with your family and friends. All of these things help to keep our minds and our hearts positive and happy. And finally, we need to make time to relax and restore our spirits. I think this is something that a lot of people forget and maybe even feel guilty for doing, but it really is necessary to have a happy, healthy, positive attitude. So pencil in some time for yourself to do the things you enjoy that restore your spirits and make you feel good. Okay, so this is the end of the second section of lesson 1. We went over self-confidence, attitude, how positive attitudes affect our learning, how our attitudes are expressed, and whether the attitudes we're expressing are it being expressed verbally through inflection, volume, pace, or non-verbally through our body language. Okay, I'm still not seeing any questions, so we're just going to go ahead and move forward to the last section of the lesson, and we're almost done. And that is the individual and team productivity in the workplace. So productivity, what does it mean? It means the ability to complete a job. But to understand productivity, we have to consider effectiveness and efficiency. These are not the same thing, and sometimes people confuse them. So let's talk about what they actually are and how they affect productivity. So effectiveness is the ability to reach a goal or complete a task. So an effective farmer is successful at raising crops. At the end of the growing season, he has a good harvest. In football, an effective play is one that results in a touchdown. So measuring effectiveness is kind of easy. If you reached your goal, then you were effective. Efficiency, on the other hand, has to do with completing a task or reaching a goal with a minimum expenditure of time and effort. So you can reach a goal effectively, but were you efficient? Some ways of measuring efficiency are time, cost, and materials. How much time did it take to complete the task? How much did it cost? Was there a waste of a lot of materials in completing the task, or did we use our materials efficiently? So time, cost, and materials measure efficiency. Attitude affects productivity as well. So, it seems kind of obvious, but a positive attitude will result in better productivity because people with positive attitudes toward work tend to enjoy work more. They're, they're more willing to pitch in when needed and therefore more productive. A negative attitude usually results in less productivity. Unhappy people are neither efficient nor effective normally, and they don't often reach their goals. Some examples of a positive attitude at work would be, this is a chance for me to show I can handle greater responsibility. Or a negative attitude in the same situation would be, this is just more work and I'm already too busy. So if a boss asks you to perform some additional tasks to your normal job, taking on those tasks with a positive attitude can definitely, although it might seem like it's more work at the present time, will result in greater benefits like promotion or raise or other positive benefits down the road. We shouldn't confuse productivity with false productivity, which is also known as spinning your wheels. So false productivity is when we do things that seem productive, but they really aren't. We're busy doing busy, or looking busy, but we're not really moving forward. Performance goals. No matter where you work, you're going to have performance goals of some sort. You can become more productive at work by finding out what those performance goals are, or what those productivity requirements are. These are the performance goals and efficiency guidelines. Once you have the answers, then you know what you should be doing, and it'll help you to come up with an efficient way to meet those goals effectively. In your text, there's 10 suggestions for being productive at a new job. And I really love these because they're simple, practical, and easy to follow. And anyone can apply them in their lives and their current jobs. Number 1, make a commitment to do the best job you can. A lot of the topics we're discussing today about having a positive attitude and being a productive person and feeling good and eating right. Well, we know that everyone has days where we just don't feel 100%. We're not going to be perfect all the time, but if we just make a commitment to do our best, then 90 to 99% of the time we'll be on the track to success. Being prompt is important. It shows your supervisor that you are committed to the job that you're in. It also sets a good example for the other coworkers that you work with. Find out your job's productivity requirements. You can ask your coworkers or your supervisor questions. It shows that you care about your job and that you want to do your job better. Dress for success. You don't have to dress like a model, but you don't want to be a careless dresser. You want to look prepared for the job that you mean to fulfill. So you can be neat and clean and follow the dress code if your company has a dress code. It creates a good impression of you, and it sets a good example for other people at work. Stay professional. Every business has a set of rules that you learn by being with other people, and this code varies from job to job, but and even sometimes from situation to situation in the same job. But learning what's acceptable and professional in your job can help you to stay within those bounds and not only earn the respect of others, but feel respect for them as well, which leads us on to number 7, respecting others. You're not going to be able to choose who you need to work with. So we're not always going to like everyone. We might find that our opinions are different, but we can still respect one another. Everyone deserves to be treated fairly, and remember that you're all workers on the same team and you're working towards the same goal. So even if we don't have a lot personally in common, you do have similar goals and places where you can meet in agreement. Be a good listener. If you're a good listener, you'll benefit in 2 ways. The people that you work with will be more willing to share their knowledge of the job with you, and they'll respond more favorably to you as a person. Be a team player. It's rare that any individual really works alone these days. So maybe you will, but even in jobs that seem to be loners, there are other people involved in the organization. And recognizing that you're part of a team and that you depend on others and that they depend on you will help you to be successful in your position. Find a good balance between work and the rest of your life. That one's a good one too, because I think this is where a lot of us struggle too. So work is important, but our life is important too. And we have to try to remember to live our life to the fullest, take care of our bodies, and if we take care of our bodies, then our bodies will take care of us. So that was individual productivity. Let's talk about team productivity. How your productivity affects others. So that would be modeling. Modeling is behaving as you would like others to behave, and it's a powerful force that improves productivity. So, it's kind of like that old adage, treat others as you would like to be treated. Model the work as you would like the work to be done, and that would lead to harmony within the team, which is a positive thing because people are working together, and when people are working together, they're being more productive. This positive spirit in the team will develop, and it will really influence the productivity of the team. Working toward group goals. Sometimes a team member, being a good team member involves sacrificing. Sacrificing means that you're giving of yourself for the good of the team. It might involve working late, to finish an assignment or to teach an employee something new. But when someone sacrifices for the good of the team, he or she earns respect, which is awesome in the long run. When you have the respect of the team, and the teammates respect each other, that leads to better productivity, better communication all around. Tolerance is important in team productivity. Tolerance is accepting people for who they are. So keeping in mind, we touched on this a little bit before, but you can't always choose who you're going to be working with. So keep in mind that even if you don't get along with someone personally and you don't agree on some personal levels, you still have a team goal in mind. You have the same team goal and you share those common goals. So treating other people with the same level of respect that you want to be treated with will help you to achieve those goals, whether or not you feel that you get along personally with your teammates or not. All right, so this is the end of the third section. So congratulations, you made it through all 3 sections. The last section we covered productivity, how effectiveness and efficiency affect productivity, performance goals, what does it mean to be productive, modeling means behaving as you would like others to behave, and tolerance of other people in a team atmosphere. That's kind of a brief recap of everything that we covered. And so now we have come to the end of the webinar. I will be available for about another 10 minutes or so to answer any questions that you have. Thank you so much for attending. I hope that this was a good review for you. And remember, you will have a recording of this webinar by email. So keep your eyes peeled for the recording if you want to use it as an additional study tool that can help you to be successful in your exams. If you don't have any questions, the webinar has ended. You're free to go about your day. And I thank you so much for attending. I will be available here for a few minutes, so please don't hesitate to ask any questions that you have. Thank you.